Well, let's go take out Mr. Dudo over there. Now that there's probably enough of a break in things, I could probably chat about like some recent things going on around here. But yeah. Yeah, Red Dead 2 I know is definitely open world. Arkham City I think I've heard is, and I don't know enough about Dragon's Dogma to be able to offer any 2 cents on that. Whoa, that's a little bit scary there, isn't it? When was the last time that I streamed this? More than a couple weeks ago, I'm fairly certain. So, some interesting stuff that I can talk about that have happened here in the meantime. The past 2 weekends, I've gone to car shows. Last weekend was with my dad's truck, the 1949 Mercury, at the Lake Place. And then this past weekend, yesterday, was with my truck, my Fargo. So, we just ended up going to a small town, that's just kind of near our Lake Place, with the Mercury. And it's the farthest that we've ever driven it. And first time that we've driven it across, like, the nearby river over there. So, it was a little bit of distance, but it's not too bad. It's a 10-minute drive normally if you're going highway speeds. Much longer if you're going in a truck that has a maximum speed of 50 miles an hour, or 80 kilometers an hour is what that translates to. But yeah, but open world isn't ever a big selling point for you, to be honest. It makes you disinterested sometimes, yeah, but for a lot of people, it is a really big selling thing. Like, everyone was hyped when Pokemon was going open world, even though Pokemon does not at all work in open world. For example there. Just keep you marked, I'm gonna lose track of you otherwise here. We're on my top bar. So we ended up going to that, and on the way, we were going down the road at 50 miles per hour for a decent while. Like, I'm used to using miles in terms of talking about those trucks because that's what their speedometer reads in, because that was before Canada switched over to kilometers per hour. So even though I normally talk in kilometers, I'm often talking in miles. Ow! In regards to those trucks. Oh crap, I won't need that poison to stop. That's why he's called a poisoner. He put a poison puddle behind his base in case any would-be assassins came over this way. Open Fishing XL. Yes, the peak open world game. Okay, stop that. Here, and then just like do this. Phone a friend. And then. Ow. Okay, let's just do this. Anyway, we were going down at 50 miles per hour for a while, and it seemed like it was working pretty alright. Until the entire front end started shaking extremely violently. So violently, in fact, that I think the steering column might have gotten a decent bit messed up. It disconnected the heater hoses, and it cracked some of the paint on the fenders. Like, it was very significantly shaking. So, whoa, going down the highway and having your entire vehicle start going like that is really, really scary, honestly. So we pulled over immediately and we're checking it for issues and didn't see anything super striking. And just figured that we'd take it slower from there. So we drove at 35 miles per hour the rest of the way there. Whatever that is in kilometers. I have no idea what that is in kilometers. But something a whole lot slower. And we pull off to the side of the highway to let other cars pass if a decent few were building up. And, whoa, and if they didn't just pass normally, whoops, that wasn't the time to use that, whatever. And fair enough there, nice. So we took it slow the rest of the way there. And, whoa, went to the nearest Cal Tire before going to the show, just like, hey, can you guys have a look at this and see what could potentially be going wrong? Because we ran into this issue on the way here. And there was a couple of guys in there, and they were like, yeah, we really don't have the knowledge for that kind of thing, of something that old. Oh my goodness. So they weren't able to have a look-see at it. So we just took it to the show and got set up, and this was the second show ever bringing it to since making the sign. Whoa. And the art thingamabob that I had commissioned with the little Hot Wheels car that I'm pretty sure I've showed here before. Whoa. If you could maybe not. This guy is actually pretty decently tough. Here, let's just do this, and now I just win. Here, take out the snake. Take out the other snake. He was the what? The hired killer? That, imagine if I died to a snake right at the end there. That would really, really suck. Oh, I need to confirm kill here. Here we go. Stabby stab. There, the poisoner's note. Despite my best attempts to poison my Athenian enemies, the plague was a far more ruthless killer than I ever was. New fallen discovered. No matter. The Mythiosis spear delivered me to my own Elysium of venom and decay. Here on my throne of snakes, I drink from the helm of Hades' fallen servant. A wild-eyed zealot took the servant's belt south of here. underneath my favorite tree in all the underworld. Seems we both share a fondness for the vile and the fanged. So if I kill them in the underworld, like, what does that mean? Like, what happens to them? That's before dishonor. Well, I'll grab this first, at least, and then maybe I'll go after that other guy. That's what I might do. Anyway, so we participated in the show, and it was a pretty decent show. It was pretty small. There was 40 vehicles there in total at its peak, and some people left early, so I counted like 36 later in the show. Was the case. But there was definitely some pretty cool things there. I think my favorite vehicle that was there was this custom-built little, I have no idea what model it would even be, but a pretty little thing, where it was modified to be an all-electric car, and not by using, like, one of those super fancy schmancy electric car batteries, but by just putting the entire back of the car's worth of car batteries in there, and then putting solar panels on the roof. So, like, you look in the back trunk, and it's what looks to be like a snowmobile engine or something like that, and a battery that's running that. And then you look in the back seat of the car, and there's like 7 car batteries in a row. And then you look under the hood in the front, and there's like another battery there that I guess is maybe the main one or something like that, or maybe just for accessories or things like headlights. I don't know. It was quite a crazy looking amalgamation there. So, never got to run into the person who made it, but it was certainly quite a sight, I will say. So that was pretty neat, but there was also some very nice looking vehicles there. And this time, for the very first time, we actually won something at the show. We actually won our category. The truck is a 1949 Mercury, so 1 year before 1950, so we were in the pre-1950s truck category at the event, and we managed to win that, which was the case. So everyone that won their category took home like the little sheet that's like best so-and-so winner at this show 2024, and everyone took home like a mystery bag with some sort of tools in it that just seemed to be from like the local co-op. And so what we ended up getting, pliers. so neat. At least there's something, and like I'll certainly use these in the future, add them to my other tools here. So we took home some pliers. I headed home from the lake a bit earlier than my dad did, and just yesterday he dropped off those pliers and gave them to me because I was the one that paid the registration fee, so he was like, oh, I guess they're your pliers, and I was like, oh, okay. Since he didn't have any cash on him there, so I covered the registration fee. So that was kind of fun, and then we just took it slowly back home, 35 miles per hour, so really, really slowly down the highway. That was 110 kilometers an hour highway. No idea what 110 kilometers is in miles, no idea what 35 miles is in kilometers, but those are the speeds there. Managed to get home safe and sound, but yeah, it is pretty concerning, so it looks like we do have work ahead of us in terms of the Mercury. So that's gonna need some maintenance now to figure out what the heck was going on with that death wobble and what we can do about that. No, I don't need to find the thing. I'm not doing side objectives anymore. I'm tunnel visioning to the main objectives, or else I'm gonna be here forever. I don't want to be in this playthrough forever. I want to move on to other things. Orifice lair. Whatever. Is this dude in a cave or something? Like, do I need to go back to the lair? Oh, I probably gotta go to that, yeah. Well, I gotta do, didn't even notice the cave entrance. Over this way. Is it another hole? Is it time for more Holy Land? But yeah, overall, that was pretty fun, I would say. Yeah, it is another hole, so I'm gonna save before I go into the hole. That was fun, that was interesting. And I got the blanket that was on my legs is hooked around my secondary computer there onto one of the thumb screws. Release that so I can actually move it forward. Like, that truck has won a lot of awards over its life when it was my grandpa's truck, because he fully restored it about 25 years ago. And he used to take it to a lot of different events and a lot of local stuff in the small town that he lived in, and you know, everyone would know him and have a lot of respect for him. So yeah, he won a lot of things with that truck over the years. So like, you look in the cab and it is filled with like ribbons for like different top 3 positions of different shows, and there's crates and stuff all over the place, especially at his place, that are still filled with like trophies and things. So that truck has won a lot of awards over the years, but we've never won anything with it since we got it. This looks just like the place. Huh. Memories, huh? All the people I killed. Whoa. Is there not gonna be any cutscene with this or anything? I can just like Oh, but if I do that, I won't be able to phone a friend. So I'm phoning a friend, even though my friend here doesn't seem very good. Okay.
I can still feel Demos smashing my head against the artifact.
Was he the random generic cult guy that was killed in the the cutscene where we first went into here? I guess he is then. So I guess we do fight that cult member after all. The one that Demos took out for us. Oh, well, I mean, here, do this. But yeah, so the little sheet of paper that's like best pre-50s truck at this show and shine just looks like a generic printed out thingamabob. Whoa. That's just like made in a convenient way, just with like a normal printer. So it's not like it's anything super special, but it's special to us because it's the first time we ever won anything with it. So we put it in a frame and now it's out at the lake cabin, which is kind of fun. So that was cool. And then this weekend, yesterday, was a show in town here that I wanted to take my truck to because I have to burn so much fuel anyway, so that my fuel tank is basically empty before the winter. So I can remove it and get it all steam cleaned, as I'm sure I was talking about during the last stream. And apart from the clutch, like my truck before this point had been working like pretty well and pretty reliably. So I thought like, oh, I'm gonna be able to get to this show no problem. And I've been concerned for a little while that my oil might be low, so I checked it before I left, and it was right in the middle between the full and the nearly empty line, the fill up line. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm good. Man, you are noisy, aren't you? So I guess I'm fine here. And I started driving it to the show. Yeah, that guy, confirmed kill. And it seemed like it was driving just fine for a decent way there. Epictetus's note. Pyramid is cold. The light, its light is gone. The light. The light is in my head now. That fool Demos thought he could kill me, but by smashing my skull, he forced the artifact's power into my very being. I now transcend mortality and communicate with Cosmos. I will rally my brothers and sisters, starting with the cruel Boeotian woman. She walked north in the fallen servant's boots and was spotted worshipping the Titans, or perhaps challenging them. Okay, I got another piece of the set there. It was working pretty well for a while. And then it started getting a death lurch. So the Mercury at the last weekend got a death wobble. And the Fargo this weekend, yesterday, got a death lurch. I'd be going down the road, and then all of a sudden, like, the gas that I'd be giving it wouldn't be constantly giving it gas. It would be going vroom, 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 and be lurching forward like that, which seemed really strange. So I guess I don't have the immediate next one mapped yet. Doesn't seem like. Anywhere else I can go while I ramble? I can go into this area here. Something like that. Oh, the next person is mapped. Here, I'm gonna keep on going after them so I can finish telling my story here. And it seemed really strange, so I put my foot on the clutch and I tried going at it again, putting my foot on the gas and slowly releasing the clutch, like getting it into gear, thinking that maybe it wasn't properly in gear before. And then it would keep on death lurching, going vroom, vroom, vroom. And so, like, just in the middle of the road, like, I was already holding up, like, the little bit of traffic. It wasn't a lot since it was Saturday morning, and not gonna be a whole lot of traffic on the road then, at least. But people were passing me, realizing, like, something's going on here. And I would come to a complete stop, put it into first gear, because apparently you can only go into first gear if you're at a complete stop with those old trucks, with old vehicles in general. I don't know why, but that's just what my dad told me, and I trust that he knows more than I do, so I'm not gonna risk trying to go into first while I'm moving and screwing something up. So I'd come to a complete stop sometimes and, like, try to go from there. And the first time I tried that, like, it was just fine in first, but the moment I go into second, it would get, like, the death lurch again and be really strange. And then sometimes after a couple tries, it would be working. Sometimes I would come to a complete stop and go into first. And then by the time that I hit the gas, it will have already stalled and, like, the truck died. So I'd have to hit the starter and start it again. And every time I did that, it would start again, like, just like that. It would start no problem. I never had any issues with starting it at all. And then it would work good for another, like, 10 minutes in the trip. And then it would start death lurching again. And then I would have to come to a complete stop, go down to first. Maybe I can hit the gas in time before it stalls to keep on going. Sometimes it would stall and I'd have to hit it again. Pretty sure I had 3 death lurches on the way to this show. And it was kind of scary because I'd never... Is there not a synchronization point in this area at all? Are you kidding me? Wow, rigged. And it was kind of scary. And I worried that, like, maybe my oil was lower than I thought it was, and maybe the engine was overheating, and that's why it was dying and being weird, and I was extremely confused. But I did manage to get there, luckily, and got into position for the show. And, I checked the oil again by the time that I got there, and it was right at the low line, like the bottom marker. I was like, oh, how did I lose so much oil? Or maybe I missaw it this morning. My dad told me later that apparently after you've been driving, it's gonna read lower just because it's, like, sucking up oil and stuff or something or other. Like, I'm really not a vehicle expert. It's really not my field. I'm still very much learning here as I go. But I thought that my oil was really low. So my mom that was gonna come by and visit sometime later, I just asked her if she could bring me some oil. was the case. The special oil that I have for it in my cousin's garage, so she had to stop by there and pick up oil for me, which is really nice of her. But it might not have made a difference. I did check it later after my dad recommended me to, and it seemed like it was at the half mark. So I filled it up to full. I had 1 death lurch on the way home, which is better than 3. But yeah, that wasn't the source of the issue. So I am taking it in for service at the end of the month on the 30th here. It's currently September 15th. If anyone wants a date watching this on YouTube after the fact. So yeah, in a couple of weeks, I'll take it in for service. I should be able to get there. Like, it might be a little bit slow going, and I might stall a little bit along the way. But it's a good thing I did this drive to and from this show to find out, hey, there's this other problem that I didn't have before. So I can report that to them and be like, hey, can you have a look-see at it? And if you have any ideas for what might be responsible for that, and if it's something that you can sort out, then great. Here, I'll go ahead and quick save. Because, yeah, the death lurch is kind of scary. Right when I thought I was getting pretty close mechanically. Basically just the clutch and the e-brake and things were good. And now here it is, death lurching. So, yeah, yikes. So that kind of scared me. The show was pretty fun, though, too. Oh, it's a couple people? It's a couple people here? Because the event, it's a lot more than a car show. It's also, like, a craft sale going on, a pretty decently sized craft sale with all sorts of stalls. I was chatting, with the 3D printing guy there a decent bit. I like chatting with people about 3D printing stuff. People with all sorts of crafts and stuff there. Whoa! It was kind of cool. There's a little mini swap meet. Not any parts that I could use there, but that was a thing going on. There's a big bouncy house for kiddos and stuff that I obviously did not go into. But yeah, so they had all sorts of things there. It was like a big community event day at this one community league, and it's kind of neat. Am I on fire? No, I don't think so. Here, let's just do this. Well, I'm in it, even though there was no starting an animation. It didn't seem like. Yeah, I seem to do quite a decent bit of damage when I'm in this mode, but it does not last very long. Okay, oh my goodness, that still got me. Please stop. Yeah, if I could switch targets, that would be great here. So do this. Getting some more damage in there. Yeah, you have so much health. And the show itself, there was probably 100-ish, 100+ vehicles there, if I had to guess. Something along those lines. Some really cool things there. I was chatting with some people for a decent while about their vehicles and the stories behind them. Whoa! Just like last year when I went to the show, which, thinking about it, that was one of 2 shows that I went to last year, and last year I had to ask for oil in a rescue mission as well, so history repeated itself there. But also just like last year, I was the only Fargo in the entire show. Like, Fargos are pretty niche. They're a bit of a rare breed, it seems like. Whoa. Let's try this. I was trying to do that. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah, last year I was the only Fargo in the show. And this year I was the only Fargo in the show as well. There wasn't even a whole lot of old trucks in general. There was a decent few. Chevrolet, a couple Fords, stuff like that. But I was the only Fargo. Whoa. Here, do this really quickly. So it's cool to be kind of unique, but I would also like to see some other Fargos and what people have done to them. Last year when I went to 2 shows, like there was that one that there was no other Fargos at. And then the other one that I went to, there was 2 other Fargos at. There was a 1949 Fargo that someone painted really uglily. And
than I remember.
That name seems familiar. Oh, I think I sort of remember these two-ish. Oh, you are the much less tanky one. I should have gone after you first. Whatever. And then there was like a early 40s Fargo, I think, which was kind of cool to see. And apart from that, the show that I was at last week, there was no Fargos at either. There have been a couple shows that I've been to earlier this year. There was a small one that was about 20-some vehicles. There was no Fargos at that one. There was a larger one that had about 100-some vehicles. There was no Fargos at that one either. There was an all Mopar show that I went to. And apparently Mopar is a whole bunch of like different brands that's like Dodge, things under Chrysler, and other things there. I don't know what all it is. I know that Ford isn't under the label. Ford/Mercury isn't. I don't know what's all under Mopar, but Mopar is apparently a whole bunch of different things, and man, you are so noisy. And this show was an all Mopar show with like several hundred vehicles. Like a lot there. And I thought I might see a couple Fargos there. I did. I saw 2 Fargos at that show. There was very, very few trucks. Like, there was like 5 or 6 rows of cars, and there was like 1 or 2 rows of trucks. It was not a massive ton. And there was 2 Fargos there. One of them, I forget what year it was, but it was like the same style as mine. So it looked basically just like mine, except blue. Except it was not kept original. There was some much more modern engine put under there. So it looked completely different under the hood, and the whole dash had like completely different looking dials. Because I tried to keep mine original, but that one was rat rotted. And then the other one was like something from the early 60s, I think it was. And it was also like a custom built rat rod thingamabob, not original. And the guy like mounted old vehicle fins onto the back of the box to give it like a bit of a fleet kind of look. And it did actually look kind of cool. But yeah, so if I had brought my Fargo to that show, I would have been the only original Fargo at the show. I wouldn't have been the only Fargo. And then the one, like, this weekend, I was the only Fargo at, so. Yeah, they are around here and there, but not a whole lot of them. And especially not a whole lot of them that are kept original. Astra's letter to Naira. My dearest cousin, I feel your dissatisfaction. We carved our place in the underworld, and now no one dares stand in our way. Even the Titans will not rise to meet our challenge. We are blades, my dear cousin. If left unused, we will rust. But I may have found us a worthy opponent. When he was alive, his greatest trophy was the head of a monster. Now in death, he basks in his former glory to the east of the Scorched Lands. Let's show him what monsters we can be, and use his head as a trophy. Alright, where's the next and last dude? Oh, there's a viewpoint right here. And at the show that I was at yesterday, there was a decent few people that came over and chatted to me that recognized Fargo and were like, whoa, it's cool to see a Fargo in this show. But not a lot of people. Most people aren't going to know what that is. Some people that came over and chatted to me and weren't familiar with it, like expressed interest and never heard of this before, what is it? And were able to get a little bit of a history lesson behind it as I was able to share the story of what the heck was going on with Fargos and all that. Oh, these are the teleport-y things. But for the most part, there wasn't really too much attention around it. But I think the guy that was parked next to me was probably getting like the most attention in the whole show. The guy next to me had a Jeep that I think was a 1993 or a 1994 Jeep, where he took time to turn the entire thing into a Jurassic Park Jeep to look like one of the things that they would be driven around in Jurassic Park. And the moment he got there and parked, he was like unloading all these stuffed dinosaurs from the back of his Jeep and setting them up and setting up like signs and foliage that's across the Jeep and stuff like that, so it looks like it had just been driving through a jungle. And some of the dinosaurs were robotic as well, so they'd be emoting and doing different stuff. He got like a little baby blue raptor that was like a glove that would go onto his hand, so it looked like kind of like a falcon glove that you have on your hand with the dinosaur on top, and you have like some button in the glove to like make the little raptor act and do different stuff there. Like, he was so popular among the kids there. He was making so many kids' days. There was this tiny little Triceratops thing that was small enough but big enough that, like, kids could get on. So many kids were taking photos on that and lots in the Jeep and stuff like that. So, a lot of people really liked that and really made a lot of kids' days especially. And it was super cool. Like, he went all out. And he was dressed up to look like he'd be like some sort of Jurassic Park ranger there. Like, he went all out with that thing. And it was actually really cool. Was the case. And it was really fun chatting with him. He was a really nice guy. So, like, props to him there. A gate of the strong, synchronization complete. Where's the last Dudo here? right over here. So I may as well dash right over that way. But yeah, it was really quite cool, the setup here. I can post in the Discord server that I use to send myself stuff. I think I took like, yeah, a brief video of it rather than picture, just to show like how the dinosaurs were acting there. And it was pretty cool. Let's see here. So there's display capture 2. And then if I go over to here and then I boopity bop like this. Yeah, so this was his setup here. And yeah, so he could just like do something with the glove there to get the thing to act. And then there was this that like kids were hopping on and like being all happy with and taking photos with. It was really quite cool. And he set up like this whole thing over here. He had quite the setup. I really liked it. And then like the foliage coming out from the tires that he unloaded and stuff. Like that was really cool. And this little mini triceratops here, when people were walking by with their dogs, the dogs were so thrown off by it. It was a really funny sight. So you'd have these dogs that are bigger than that little triceratops going by, and they see that little robotic triceratops and it starts moving, and the dogs are just looking over like, woof, woof, and just completely thrown off. I can't go this way, really? I guess I go around it? So that was pretty funny to see. Can I not, like... Oh. Gosh dang it. Well, I guess I'm not going down there. I gotta take the teleporty thing, and then I'll go over. So, that was definitely pretty neat, I will say. But, yeah, from time to time, I'd have people come up and chat to me about the truck, and... Like, I'm very much the kind of person that's like, oh, you have interests in it? Like, you can go ahead and, like, hop in or do whatever the heck. Like, I'm pretty open with it. A lot of people are like, no, don't so much of think about touching it. I mean, like, maybe I won't be as open once it gets, like, fully repainted and is all, like, super shiny. We'll see. I'll still probably be pretty open with it. But, like, it very much shows its age. Like, I feel free to just, like, toss stuff kind of in there. Not super willy-nilly. I don't know how to phrase this. It's like, I try to not be super rough with it, but if it's roughed up a little bit, it's not that big a deal anyway. Especially considering it'll be, like, repainted over at some point. But point is, I try to be, like, pretty open with it. Tartaros. Yeah, I think I'm good here. Not doing the stuff there. How do I get out of here? So, yeah, there were a couple people coming by that were getting pictures with it, and if I saw someone taking a picture of, I don't know how to get over there. I'm just gonna... I'm fast traveling over here, because otherwise I have to cross, like, 2 things. So if I saw someone taking a picture of it, I'd say, like, you can hop in for a photo if you want. Like, go ahead. And there was a couple kids that I had hopping in there and getting photos, like, behind the wheel and stuff like that with their parents taking pictures. There was this one kid that seemed pretty interested in it, and I told him he could hop in and, like, take a picture there, and he did. And then when he hopped out, and we went around back because him and the family with him were checking out the box there. And the next thing he asked me was if he could hop in the box. And I was pretty confused and surprised by that, but I was like, sure, go ahead. Like, I don't see why not. So he hopped into the box of the truck, and he thought that was so cool that he had hopped in the box of this really old truck. And his family was taking pictures while he was doing poses and, like, stances and stuff like that in the back of my truck. And it seemed like it really made his day. And his family were thanking me about that and saying, like, he doesn't get that many opportunities to come, like, this close to something this old. Because, yeah, at a lot of shows like that, you probably wouldn't be having people saying, sure, go ahead, hop in the box. You know, I'm probably one of the few people that would be open to that kind of thing. And he seemed to get, like, a really big kick out of it. So that made me really glad to see. So it seemed to make his day there, and that made me happy. And I was just glad to be able to share that with people and show people a vehicle that most people have never heard of. A Fargo. Most people not knowing what that is, so being able to share that and some of the history behind it is kind of cool. So, I'd say I definitely had fun at the event. I would definitely say. But I am extremely worried after that whole death lurch that I'm dealing with now. Last weekend, the Mercury starts death wobbling, and this weekend, the Fargo starts death... lurching. I forgot the term that I had for it for a hot second. Ooh, I can get a viewpoint here. Maybe I'll do that first really quickly, and then I can just hop off the thing anyway. That's what I can do. So yeah, it's a little bit concerning. I'm hoping that the shop can get some of this stuff sorted out, or at least put me on the right track. I guess I can't teleport with the horse. Whoa. Gosh dang it, man. So there was that. Okay. Booty bop, away I go. So yeah, overall fun, but very concerning for the state that's in. So on the way home, my dad just followed me with like hazard lights on to signal to other drivers like, hey, we're going kind of slow. And if we randomly break down, it's because he's escorting this old truck of me. So I'd driven there on my own, but on the way back, I had the escort with the hazard lights because my truck does not have hazard lights. That is not a thing I have. I have signal lights. I have brake lights. I do not have hazard lights. that is not part of it. I'm sure there's some sort of modification that I could do to the signal lights to turn into hazard lights, but I don't even know where I'd begin on something like that. So there was that. And then there was an event today as well, Sunday of the weekend. This Sunday was a fruit growers festival. So the place that I go in the springtime to get the sticks for grafting, like I did this past spring, that I'm sure I probably would have talked about like many months ago in this playthrough. It's probably somewhere before I hit 100 parts, since that was a big thing going on around then with the grafting there. It's the same group that hosts this fruit festival, with the idea being that you can go and try out like samples of all sorts of different fruit growing around the city, and maybe kind of decide on what some of your favorite types are, and then you can keep an eye out for those kinds of sticks the following spring. Since a lot of people that are giving samples for this fruit are also the ones selling sticks in the spring. And like, it's not a paid event, it's a free thing, and it's all free samples. You just go there and say, I'd like to try some of this, I'd like to try some of this, and get all sorts of different fruit and flavors. And there were so many flavors of plum and apple that I tried today that I had no idea existed. And I probably would like to try grafting next year. Like, there were some really cool, tasty things. So it was a pretty neat event. I brought a whole bunch of 3D printed pots there and was giving them to people like, hey, you're giving me a whole bunch of fruit free samples. Like, you want some 3D printed stuff? Some cool gardening things here. So I can post some pictures here and show those in a hot second. Where it really was quite the smorgasbord of all sorts of different cool fruit. So I definitely had fun going to that earlier today. Let's see here. If I pull up the thingamabob here, and then the display capture 2. So this is what I was doing earlier today, was going to this. And it's just in this school gym area, and all these tables laid out with all sorts of different fruit. So this would be filled with fruit sticks in the springtime when they do that event. But at this time of year, it's just all these different fruits, and it's labeled what they are. This guy even labeled what zones they're hardy in, so you know whether you can plant them like in the city where it's a little bit warmer, or whether it's hardy enough that you can plant it outside the city if you live rurally or on like an acreage or something like that, or at like the lake cabin or something like that, like my family has. And these Japanese plums were really, really good. They were super sweet. If I see sticks of that next spring, I'm probably gonna want to get those, because those were pretty good there. There's a bunch of Pempina plums here. I love Pempina plums. That's the tree that we used to have growing at the lake before the porcupine came and ate it. So those are always good. Like all sorts of different types of apples. There was a few pears some people had. There was a couple of grapes. I've never actually eaten locally grown grapes. I've only ever eaten grapes from the grocery store. So it was kind of interesting eating hardy grapes because they're pretty seedy and they have big seeds. So you bite into them and it goes crunch, crunch, crunch with the seeds. And that really took me by surprise. There was a sea buckthorn that I'd never tried before. And it had a very interesting taste. I don't know how I'd be able to describe it, but I definitely didn't dislike it. I thought it was pretty good. And I have a couple in like a small baggie now to see if I can potentially try growing some from seed just for fun. Grow a tree like that, and it seems to produce a lot. Apparently they're like super healthy. So that was really interesting. All sorts of apples and stuff here. I mean, there was a bazillion apples at this event, as you can see. These yellow ones here I really, really liked. So I might try to get sticks of that next spring. And it was just really quite cool. And it was cool to go to this event and be like, I'd like to try some of that. I'd like to try some of that. Maybe some of this. And just be given like all these bites of all sorts of different things and going on quite the flavor adventure. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty fun. And I brought along some of the unique stuff that I've been growing. I brought along mainly the golden and amber pearls that I've been growing, which are plants that are in the nightshade family, just like tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, eggplants. Like, it's that plant family. Alright. Let's see here. And they look basically like really small tomatoes, but they have a very different taste. Like, they're clearly an entirely different species. I brought some of those along, and it didn't seem like anyone there had ever seen these berries before. A lot of people were interested in trying them and thought that they tasted pretty good, and some people were interested in trying to grow them themselves, so I brought along a whole bunch of my little Ziploc baggies. Whoa. I should have phoned a friend or something first. That's what I probably should have done.
I need your help.
Well, alright, well then I'll face you down and I'll earn your help. That's what I'll do. So yeah, I had tiny little Ziploc baggies that I brought along. A decent few of those were filled with a small handful of golden and amber pearls for people to seed them and try growing them on their own next spring. Is the case. So, it is possible that next year during the Scion Wood exchange, there might be a decent few people that might tell me, hey, I sprouted those pearls that you gave me during the fruit festival. Whoa! So, yeah, we shall see. And then next year fall, whoa, see, holy crap. See if they say if it was like a super great success and it's growing super well, or what they end up saying. So, yeah, I might be spreading a different species around the city that probably hasn't been grown all that much around the city before because it's such a niche, specific thing, you know? So, yeah, there's that. So that was kind of fun to share around. I brought along some of the apples from my almost crabapple tree that were the grafted ones. Whoa. See if anybody could identify them. One guy thought that it might be a Battleford apple. Like, it's a very similar look. And I tried with a taste test with a Battleford apple, and it was a decent bit different. And apparently Battleford is ripe now, but the one that I picked, people were saying, like, oh, the seeds aren't quite dark enough yet. You might have picked it a bit early. But I just picked it because one fell from the tree, so I figured, okay, they're starting to get pretty ripe, so. Whoa, gosh dang it. But then I also learned from someone else there that looked like those apples had been victim to apple maggots, and that's why some of them were falling early. So, yeah, I guess I did pick them early, and they were saying, yeah, maybe one more month and it'd probably be really good. And apparently some of the apple types there are really good if you just wait until first frost. So, some people there were telling me, like, yeah, these apples on this plate here, they're really tart right now and might not taste all that good at the moment. But if you wait until after the first frost and then pick these apples, like, shortly after the first frost, then they get, like, super sweet and they're so good and amazing. So, maybe it's a similar thing with the apples on my almost tree that were grafted on there. But yeah, so no one was able to, whoa, exactly pinpoint what it was. One person thought it could be like some sort of Siberian variety that he forgot the name of. No idea what it is. If I ever meet this friend of my almost that grafted it, I'll ask him. Like, maybe he remembers, maybe not. But this is why branches should always be labeled when you graft. So you actually remember what things are after the fact. So I'll probably start 3D printing labels for my grafts soon. Like, they're all in my memory right now. The wild plum tree out at my, whoa, lake cabin has a Seneca plum and a 0701 plum apricot hybrid on it. My almost crabapple tree has a red wonder and a September ruby apple on it. So I have my grafts memorized right now. But yeah, I'm gonna have to print some labels for future proofing. The dullest pencil is better than the sharpest memory and all that. So, man, they are so tanky on nightmare mode. But yeah, I do think I definitely have some fruits in mind that I want to, whoa, holy crap, that I want to try grafting next year. And I was chatting with someone about grafting, and I actually potentially got some good reasoning why a lot of my grafts might have failed. So, when you graft, you want the cambium, which is this little green layer just inside the bark, to be touching on both the thing that you're grafting on and the thing that you're grafting on too, because that's where nutrients are shared across the plant. So you need those to be touching for it to share nutrients and start healing and all that. And I was told that apparently if you touch the cambium while you're grafting, that like the oils from your hands like screw it up, and then the graft probably isn't gonna take. And I think I might have touched some of those with my fingers. It's probably a similar situation as is with 3D printing, where as I touch my build plate there, the oils from my fingers and hands get onto the plate, and then like the plastic isn't going to stick quite as well. So I guess it's a similar thing with plants, where if I'm getting those oils that are on your hands and fingers into the place where the plant is sharing nutrients, that it messes it up. So yeah, I'm going to be really careful to not touch the cambium anymore. And then maybe I'll get better success rate than I got this past year, because this past year my success rate on my almost crabapple tree was like 2 out of 8. The plum tree out at the lake, it was like 3 out of 4. And then my almost cherry trees, it was like 0 out of 2. I had no success on that. So, yeah. One of the interesting things that was there... Whoa! Holy crap! At one stand, one guy had peaches that you could try out that were grown here when... You know, you think Central Alberta, you're not going to think that peaches is the kind of thing that you can grow here. I know that you could, considering someone had peach sticks last year. This wasn't the same person. And, whoa, he was saying that some people do all sorts of... Here, safety. What? Wrong thing. Safety. Some people will make little teepees and little constructions like that, and then put like a bulb or something in there, like a 120-watt bulb, to give it extra heat, so it's like 10 degrees warmer than it is outside, so that the peach trees continue to live well and produce and stuff like that. Some people will prune the tree in such a way that it grows along the ground, and then you can easily put like a cover over it. So apparently people have all sorts of strategies to be able to grow peaches in a climate that you normally would not be able to grow peaches. So I was hoping to be able to put all sorts of different stone fruits onto the tree out at the lake, like apricots, peaches, plums, just turn into a big multi-variety stone fruit tree. But after hearing this, it's like, yeah, I don't know if peaches would work out there. But the plum tree that we have here in the city, where it's warmer, maybe I can put peaches on that and grow my own peaches here. Which would be kind of cool.
Go to the gates and protect this place.
Okay, Perseus's note. It's baffling. After everything I accomplished, I'm to spend eternity in the lair of this despicable Gorgon I slayed so long ago. Zeus, Father, what have I done to offend thee? Did I somehow misuse your gifts? Was I too prideful in my taking of the Gorgon's head? Hades welcomes all who were overcome by hubris, like the warrior who thought he was protected by the Styx, and yet finds himself feasting endlessly in the hall of Maniae. Or perhaps slaying the monster was in itself an ill act. Perhaps the beast was merely misunderstood. Perhaps. Chris Gorgenion. Was he not the guy that I needed for the last armor set piece? I thought that's who I was going after for a sec there. Yeah, well, I got one of these at least, and I had to do that anyway, but like, that wasn't the task that I thought I was doing. There's a guy here that has a weapon as well, so he's gonna be a guardian guy, I guess. Screw it, let's run over to that. I think I'm mostly done with like the stuff that I was gonna ramble about. I did find out from this event today, like I already had a bit of an idea from other evidence lately, but I think it's mostly confirmed at this point that my almost sour cherry tree that I had no idea what it was is probably an Evans cherry that is making suckers all over the yard, and had the one sucker that I dug out last year and actually survived the winter, which last weekend while I was out at the lake and going to that car show with my dad and his Mercury, I did plant that tree out there. So now on the lawn out at the lake, there's a tiny little tree, about yay big, that I have planted that will hopefully become a nice big beautiful cherry tree one day. That it seems like is an Evans cherry, so it's good to know that. Know what I'm working with. Yeah, I didn't really know what it was for the longest time. I know they taste really good. And they're so delicious in like cakes and pies and stuff like that. Literally my favorite cake ever. It's with cherries from that tree. It's so good. So, yeah. Be growing cherries on that tree. Out there. And I'll probably graft other things to it as it continues to grow. Just to get like multiple different cherry varieties. And then other stone fruits I'll graft to the plum tree that's out there. So like plums, apricots, nectarines. Maybe peaches. It might be a little bit too cold out there for peaches. Peaches I might have to grow in the city. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, there's so many different kinds of things and different varieties that you can grow, and going to things like this fruit festival event where I find out that there's so many different flavors out there, getting to try them firsthand, it makes me really, really excited for grafting in the future and being able to pick all these different varieties myself from my own trees and have such a smorgasbord of flavors to choose from. Because one tree that makes one thing, you're gonna get tired of that one thing eventually. Get a tree that makes a bazillion different things, and it's like, how are you ever gonna get tired of that, right? That's a teleporter down, I think. I just climbed up. So yeah, definitely a fun, interesting event today. The wild plum that's growing out at my family's lake cabin, that's just the rootstock of the tree that died of whatever was grafted onto it, I don't know. Hempina plum was eaten by the porcupine, and the other plum that was there to pollinate, it just never did all that well, and just kind of died. But then roots regrew a new tree, which is the thing that I'm grafting onto now. And my research tells me that it's probably an American plum, just like the kind of wild plum of North America, from what I understand here. And one of the things that was for display to try out there at the event was wild plum that is just meant to be a pollinator and help pollinate and get better production from the plums that you actually want to eat without the wild plum being very good. But like, it was there to try it out, so I was like, okay, I want to try this out just so that I know what it's like. And the guy who had them there was like, I don't know, you might spit it out immediately. I was like, well, I just want to know what it's like, and then I know what it's like. And yeah, it was not very good, but now I have an idea in the back of my head for what it tastes like. So if that tree out the lake itself, like, makes a fruit itself, I might not be super inclined to be eating a massive ton of it. But as I continue to graft more things onto it, it will be making more different tasty things. Bell notice, your bill is overdue. As a result, we are suspending your services. Please resolve your payments at bellsomethingthingerbob.com. I don't use Bell. Yoink. But I should probably go to that link to get it resolved. So I should probably do. Alright, well, this isn't an endless pit like the last one that I faced, at least. But yeah, there were some really, really good things there. It was pretty nice. And it's really cool that it's all just this community that's coming together and just sharing this stuff. Because it's something that they're passionate about sharing. Like, it's not monetized at all. It's just, hey, we're renting this space and bringing all this fruit and people together just to share, like, cool fruit. And then you get to try out all sorts of different flavors and cool things that you never tried before. Like, that's so cool that that's a thing. Okay, so that's the next synchronization point. So it was fun going to this, and I can definitely see myself going to it next year. So, yeah, last weekend was busy with car show with the Mercury. This weekend was busy with car show with the Fargo, and then this fruit event. And then next weekend is going to be busy for me with the Saturday I plan on going to Fan Expo along with my cousin's kiddos. And it sounds like my cousin's older kid wants to go in the Luigi Ghostbusters cosplay, or at least the Luigi cosplay. He didn't clarify, like, the Ghostbusters part. But if he's going in my Luigi cosplay, he may as well take, like, the Ghostbusters Proton Pack. Might have gotten a kick out of that when I went to GameCon in it with him. So at some point, I'll bring my Luigi cosplay over there and see if it fits him. And I have two other costumes anyway. I have my Edward Kenway Assassin's Creed cosplay, and I have my Enharmonia cosplay, which I haven't actually used for a while, so I might actually go as Enharmonia this time. So I might just do. And yeah, it sounds like he's gonna be going as Ouija. It's gonna be the case. Maybe I should just go this way. That's maybe what I should do. Yeah, I'll do this. Why not? So I'll be going to that on Saturday because the event runs Friday to Sunday, and they be in school Friday. And then Sunday, I plan on going to this German dinner with my Oma, where the German church that she used to go to, I don't remember exactly what happened to it. I believe that it was the pastor that passed away, and they weren't sure, like, if they were going to continue the church or dissolve it, and it ended up being dissolved, and there's some other church group in there now. And apparently there was, like, a whole bunch of leftover church funds, so they were just like, oh, let's just spend this on, like, dinner for everybody a couple times, and I think it's the last one of these dinners that's going on with, like, what's left of the funds from the church that she went to. So, whenever those have gone on before, I've always taken her, so I'll take her again this time, and everyone there is always super impressed that I can speak German as well as I can, and have, like, full conversations with me in German. Is this, like, a cave? What is this? Like, would this be a cave entrance? So I don't see how to get to the guy. I'm very confused. This has got to be a cave entrance, right? So I'll be busy on Sunday, so the only day that really works is Saturday. So figure we'll just go to that on Saturday, see what kind of stuff is going on there. See if I end up getting any more posters that I don't have any room for. Or what ends up going on there. So yeah, just back to back to back to back. Oh, well. What is this, Dark Souls? Tartaros Veil. Tartaros Veils keep all living souls from crossing the gateway between the realms of the underworld wearing the armor of the fallen is the only way to reverse them alive. Oh. Well, I can't do that until I get the final thing here anyway. So it's not here. Okay, and yeah, that's for one of those guys. That isn't the guy with the final armor piece. Okay, I don't know what to do then. I guess I'll just go do this quest for now. I don't belong here. Alright, I'll find out information on the other guys I need sometime later. Because, yeah, I can't go through this right now. That sucks. But yeah, so back to back to back. Weekends being pretty busy. But always with some interesting stuff going on. So. And one of my Oma's friends from the German church apparently was over at her place at one point and saw like all the pots that I had 3D printed there and thought they were really cool and asked if I could make her some that she'd give out for gifts during Christmas time. So I have 3D printed a bunch of pots lately, and I took some of them to this fruit event and gave a bunch away there, and I'll probably 3D print some more and like take a big bag with them and be like, you can pick whatever you want. And here you go. And people did seem to get quite the kick out of the 3D printed stuff that I brought to the, well, what the heck is going on here? That I brought to the event. There was one guy that was even asking for my business card, and I was like, I don't have a business card. Sorry, I'll give you my number if you want. If you want me to, like, 3D print you something sometime later. And I was giving out, like, a bunch of 3D printed pots for free because everyone was giving out, like, fruit samples for free and putting in, like, so much work here. So I wanted to do something nice back, so I was giving people a bunch of, like, 3D printed pots and, like, seed starters and stuff. So, yeah.